Hello, welcome to World Business Report. I'm Tanya Beckett. An executive at Goldman Sachs has written a stinging letter about the bank as he resigns. Greg Smith, who's worked there for almost 12 years, says he hopes it will be a wake-up call for bosses who should weed out the morally bankrupt people, no matter how much money they make for the firm. In his letter to the New York Times, he says, "I can honestly say that the environment now is as toxic and destructive as I've ever seen it." And he says the interests of the client continue to be sidelined in the way the firm operates and thinks about making money. I'm joined now by Chris Roebuck from the Cass Business School. Welcome to the programme. What do you glean from this letter in terms of insight about the way the bank is operating?
It's a very interesting letter, and you can see that this senior executive has actually gone through a journey of moving from an organisation that he utterly believed in to one that he thinks has now dumped its basic values. And that's quite clear from the tone of the whole thing. It also suggests that there are things going on in certain parts of Goldman's that actually the Goldman's leadership either thought they should have dealt with or should have dealt with. Because here is someone who is quite senior, who is effectively saying that people are behaving in a way that is contrary to the organisation's espoused public values. And in any organisation, be it a bank, an estate agency or a car hire company, you cannot have people in your organisation that are acting in personal interest over and above the organisation's interest and that of its clients.
But if you have somebody who's not managing a broad relationship but selling a product, and they are given a bonus which is dependent on the profit they make from selling that product, it's a conflict, isn't it?
Yes, there's a big challenge there. And if we look at the real wide spectrum that exists in the banking industry, you have people who are very, very close to their clients like private bankers, and you have people like this gentleman who is leaving, who is actually just selling a product on price. And what happens is you tend to see that the bad behaviour in relation to behaviour to clients tends to focus where people have little contact with clients, where people are developing a technical product and selling it on price. Therefore, they don't have that relationship and they don't think that they are responding to a human being, and that's where the problems happen. And that's exactly where the problems happened in the financial crisis.
It's fair to say that Goldman Sachs has always been singled out as a bank that has this type of behaviour going on.
I don't think it's fair to say that Goldman Sachs always has this type of behaviour going on. I think it's fair to say that Goldman Sachs, of all the institutions, had a very strong corporate culture that drove performance quite hard, and that people were expected to put, generally speaking, the organisation before themselves, and that produced a significant amount of business success. But it's a very, very fine line where you've got that distinction, putting the organisation and the clients before yourself, and moving into the particular portion where this gentleman thinks the organisation has gone, where you make as much money irrespective of what happens to the client.
Thank you very much indeed.